Good day. In order for a franchise to continue from a penultimate installment, the setting itself needs room for expansion. Star Wars could do just about anything because it had an entire galaxy of opportunity, and it was a setting that didn't need to revolve exclusively around the Skywalkers and Solos. Star Trek is literally about exploring the unknown. Aliens is another franchise that had room for growth, as it had a compelling cyberpunk future, and it could be about more than just my aliens. And so it was that in 1991, the Alien setting was given the installment known as Aliens Gen0cide. It takes place chronologically after Aliens Earth War and featured a new cast of characters. The comic did well enough that a novelization was commissioned, and that novelization was released in 1993 and was written by American writer David Bischoff, whatever. Even though he's supposed to be an American writer, he does sound awfully British in a few places and has American characters saying stuff that Americans never say. The comic and the novel chronicle the adventures of Colonel Alexandria Kozlowski and Daniel Grant. Their mission in this novel is to acquire more xenomorph royal jelly. The novel takes place a couple decades after Aliens Earth War, and in that novel, the alien Queen Mother, the ultimate queen, was blown up in Oregon with a sizable proportion of the xenomorph population on Earth. In the time since, humanity was able to rebuild Earth and its colonies, and has now turned the xenomorph into a product that you can buy at a convenience store by using a secretion of a xenomorph queen called royal jelly. Humanity was able to make a performance-enhancing drug that can stimulate you like a couple cans of Red Bull. Aliens Gen0cide features my favorite types of protagonists. They are simple beings trying to make their way through the universe. Alexandra is a tough but fair colonial marine that had her lover die due to some xenos, and this death torments her through the novel. She can act like a dick at times, but it's usually justified. She is given a great deal of development and features more character than just military babe. Daniel Grant is more or less the alien's equivalent to Tony Stark, just without the science skills. He is the owner of the humbly named Grant Corp, the company responsible for the xenomorph drug, aka XenoZip, aka Fire. Of the various fake street speak that novels try to have, Fire is not too cringe-inducing, and the characters use that throughout. When you think of Daniel Grant, picture pre-Iron Man 1 Tony Stark. He is a major dick and is rather exploitative and is the worst kind of womanizer, but underneath lies some good, and Grant will generally act dickish and then do something noble later. And by the end of the novel, he has changed his character quite a bit. The rest of the characters get some development. My only problem is the rather 90s portrayal of the military. In 91, the scars of the Vietnam War were still fresh, and writers looked at the military as a bunch of warmongers and hooligans. So, one of the driving motivators of the plot is the rush to get more royal jelly so that the military can give it to the troops. And the colonial marines in this novel act like conscripts, and at different points of the novel, that gets what are supposedly well-trained marines killed. Mr. Bischoff tries to keep the logic straight and mostly succeeds. We don't have any howlers, like Grant being too cheap to make quality enclosures for the xenomorph, and everything feels more or less believable. Davy Boy, though, doesn't know his guns at all, and introduces a super awesome phase plasma pulse rifle that is referred to as semi-automatic that somehow shoots bursts. I mean, it's 94 and the internet doesn't really exist yet, but still, man, go to the range. All told, the plot, while straightforward, does the job of giving us a fun and memorable aliens adventure, and the characters are well written, fleshed out, and likable, and they actually grow throughout the novel. For a simple book like this, the quality is through the roof. I was able to remember just about every single plot point and character, despite not having read the book since 2009. So yeah, I most assuredly cannot recommend reading it enough. The novel begins with Kozlowski and a team of Marines tackling a xenomorph nest at Hollywood and Vine. Sometime after the major battles of the Xenomorph War, they're there to stop the production of Star Wars 27, Rey's excellent adventure, but are stopped by the xenomorphs. During the battle, Kozlowski's boyfriend gets hit in the face with some xenomorph acid, and he's a lot less pretty after that, and a lot less alive too. This causes her to spiral into depression later. After this awesome intro, we get introduced to XenoZip, and this is done in a pretty creepy way. We see from the perspective of a runner at the not Olympics. He dopes himself with some zip and zips along so fast he crashes into a wall and gets splattered. Not sure that would really work that way, since when his hip bones melt, but whatever, it's cool. The military takes notice and does a trial of their own and gives some zip to Private Snuffy, and Private Snuffy proceeds to snuff out almost the entire base. One of the officers watching, for some reason, has what the novel calls a bazooka. Is it from World War II? Man, that dude must be rich. And he must be stupid, because this bazooka is on his gun wall, which is in his office on a military base, fully loaded with a live rocket. Yeah, that's safe. And is that battery charged? Because if it's not, it's just a tube. And the officer is able to blow the crazy dude up. One, that sounds like some 40K shit right there. And two, no super soldier on Gen0cide ever shows up again. We then cut to Grant, and it turns out he's out of money due to lawsuits, and he needs to make some serious scratch, because also the Mafia is after him too. Gen0cide makes the money, but he's running out of the Super Queen Mother Royal Jelly. Apparently the Super Queen Mother Royal Jelly survived the nuking somehow, and so he collaborates with the military so he can go to a planet that is called Hive World, aka the planet from the previous novel, so that he can get some more. Apparently they just know that there's another Super Queen Mother. Kozlowski is put in charge of the mission, and they head out. The novel does not give us a crappy love triangle. Both Kozlowski and Grant are cordial to each other, and that's it. Grant does try to get into the pants of a haughty female Marine, but awesomely, she does not get laid low. Instead, she's able to maintain her self-respect without having to mock or belittle Grant. When they arrive on the planet, we get some cool stuff. The ship uses a portable force field to keep the Xenos away. And here is where the Gen0cide part comes in. Due to the death of the Super Queen, another hive arose of slightly differently colored xenomorphs. Well, you know where that leads. The Colonial Marines' objective is to get some jelly and then get the hell out. So they commit Gen0cide by blowing up the differently colored Xeno's Queen Mother to get her Xeno warriors to run off so that the regular Xenos will chase them, thus leaving the classic Xeno hive undefended. Our heroes descend into the hive, and here the Xenos are still scary, and they still kill a number of the good guys, but the Queen still gets a plasma bolt to the face. Ant, boot, humanity first, Xenos last. Speaking of the most dangerous entity in the entire galaxy, man proves to be the secret villain. One of Grant's buddies was a mercenary plant that was doused with a chemical that made him seem more trustworthy. Sure it did. The fight between Grant and the dude is really satisfying, and in a neat callback, the merc is doused with Gen0cide and left to hold off the Xenos while the good guys escape with the jelly. The final blow against the Xenos is struck when one of our heroes bonks one on the head with a saxophone and knocks it off the ship. Damn, I missed the 90s! And thankfully, Grant still doesn't get any from Kozlowski other than a promise to get a drink later. With the royal jelly secure, our heroes fly off into the sunset, never to be seen again. Well, you know what? At least they had a happy ending, which is something a lot of protagonists can't say when they get sequels. Following up an Ultimate Trilogy is not easy, and the Aliens Expanded Universe did it right by just having a regular story with normal stakes. Too many series just go from ultimate battle to ultimate battle with no regard for how that makes the first works absolutely and utterly pointless. Here, we go from galaxy changing in the previous book to basic ground level stuff. Sadly, the rest of the Aliens EU would maintain this mindset, and thus it would get a little boring. You don't have to stay on ground level forever, just don't go from crisis to crisis, with zero rests in between. The book is great not because it has aliens, but instead it's great because Davey Boy crafted a good, if simple story, populated with entertaining characters, with aliens added to that. A franchise cannot last on one concept alone and must incrementally grow with each installment, and that was something that the Aliens EU tried and succeeded with. I'm General Lotz, and I'm wishing you good Aliens Harvest and good Aliens Rogue, or whatever makes you happy. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and please consider leaving a like or a comment, as the algorithm desires your soul. And I want to thank all those fans who have supported this channel, both past and present.